So everybody, thanks so much for listening to Fire Breathing Rob. If you're listening to us the first time on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Stitcher or Amazon, we really appreciate it. I know it's a lot of names. There's so many more, but I can't remember all the dang names. And we'll so we'll move forward with that. So thanks so much. If you're listening to us on YouTube, thanks also. Please subscribe and share this interview. We have David Carter on here. He's going to be talking about YouTube in general and gaming. And we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So, Dave, first of all, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate your time today.
Appreciate it. This is the first time anybody has called me by my regular name. Mainly people call me Ipodkingcarter, but it's fun to hear somebody call me Dave once in a while.
Where did you get that name? How did that come about?
Oh, funny thing. When I was in high school, right around when iPods actually first came out, when it was like the big brick one with the
Yeah,
white
yeah,
face
yeah.
on it, no color screen, scroll wheel. I actually took that to a house party that I was attending, and at this house party, the CDs were skipping really bad because,
Mhm.
of course, everybody's jumping around having fun, and I just had told the hostess, I'm like, hey, yo, why don't I go to my car and get my aux cable, and then I could just plug it up to the radio and we can get this party bumping. And from then on, I was known all through the hallways in school, the iPod King. And then after that, of course, my last name is Carter, so I just put it together, and I've been that name ever since.
It's really cool how that's went, and that's such a long, happened such a long time ago, I guess I should say, and how
Yeah.
it stuck with you. So moving into, so what got you involved in gaming? Now, you specifically with, as far as gaming, because we know people play sports games, there's or other games as far as shooting games. First of all, what particular games do you play, or do you play all of those games in general?
I play all of those games in general. On my streams on Facebook Gaming, I stream a variety of video games, whether it's Apex Legends, Call of Duty, NBA 2K, Grand Theft Auto, some single player games like Horizon, Star Wars. It's so the list goes on. Mainly on my YouTube channel, iPod King Carter, I mainly post NBA 2K content. I'm gonna be switching it up real soon. I actually wanted to do a couple passion projects. I've done things like that over the decade that I've been on YouTube,
Mhm.
whereas though I branch out into something a little bit different than gaming, whereas though when people find me for that specific thing, they can have like the whole journey of something that I've done. Like recently, I got Invisalign about 2 years ago, and I had to get a tooth pulled and all of these different things. So I did like a little journey, and I'm coming up on the end of my Invisalign, and I'm pretty happy with my smile. So it's pretty dope to post that type of content on YouTube.
It looks good. So, Dave, I'll give you that. You're showing
Appreciate
those teeth out. All right. So, as we keep going into the interview, again, look them up, iPod King Carter on YouTube. Definitely check it out. A lot of good streams on there. So, as we move into this, I'll call you Dave, but we're going to tease the iPod King Carter stuff throughout the show. Just because
Okay.
it's a lot easier off the tongue than iPod King Carter. I'll get tongue
Right.
tied if
Of
I keep
course.
saying that.
Of course. Of course.
So,
Yeah. Some people just shorten it up to call me IKC from time to
okay.
time.
All right. So Dave, so as we keep going into this, mostly a lot of people that are, young millennials that listen to this show are into gaming. I'm big into the sports gaming, Madden, NBA 2K, even baseball I still play a little bit.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
how is the game? First of all, I guess I should ask you, how did gaming get into your life in general? Did you always do this from a young age? I remember going back, I'm 32. I don't know how old you are, but I remember back going to the Sega Genesis and kicking butt on that.
Mm,
I mean, I know that's in style now that people are buying those
right.
systems back,
Yeah,
Nintendo and
going back. Yeah.
yeah.
So for me, gaming has always been something from a young age. I was one of those kids that went outside a lot. Like I love spending all my time outside. But I guess to decompress from, growing up in harsh neighborhoods and stuff like that, it was always video gaming. Now, of course, our moms would always say, get off that goddamn game is too late, stuff like that. But I loved all the sports games on Nintendo, like, Tecmo Bowl, even when they had the one-on-one Jordan versus Bird,
Mm.
they had I think like 3 point shootout, like all of those games. I just loved them. You know what I mean? Then we transitioned into Sega Genesis, then onto the Nintendo 64, the Dream cute. Like it's just so many different consoles that we try to keep up with every year, and I just follow the suit. You know what I mean? I play Madden, play 2K, I play NBA Live when it was out, and up until now, I've recently fallen in love with UFC because I used to play
Mm.
boxing, like Knockout King. So I started up a decent amount of UFC series on my YouTube channel, and those took off. You know what I mean? So I think that people do look for gaming content, and especially sports content,
Mhm.
because they want to see how people can iterate how it is IRL to a video game. So I think I do a pretty good job at depicting that.
Why do you think that people look at, gaming on YouTube when they could just play it in person, like against, people on the internet?
I would say that it's more of a form of entertainment now, opposed to playing the game. Because of course you can play the game. So, say for instance, me and you decide that we're going to go 2v2 at the park, right? And in between us waiting for games on NBA 2K at the park, we have maybe Twitch or YouTube or Facebook Gaming, you know what I mean, open, and we're just like, okay, we're this game is probably going to take about 10 minutes. Let's watch this person stream for a moment. So I'll be in my head watching the stream, you'll be in your head watching the stream, and you might see somebody pull off a sick move, and you might comment in their stream, yo, how did you do that move? And as they're explaining it to you, you're about to get on the court, so you're going to try that move
Mm.
out to see how it favors against your competition. So it's like basically you're learning and getting entertainment all at the same time, as well as interaction from maybe one of your favorite streamers or somebody that's more maybe real informative about the game. So that's kind of like how I see it.
So how did your gaming, I guess, how did gaming take off for you, I guess I should say?
Oh man, honestly, true story.
Yeah.
I was working at the airport, and I had got laid off for watching Planet of the Apes on break. This is like the truest story ever. So during my layoff time, I had to fight for my job back and everything like that. But I started picking up gaming again, like real heavy, because I really didn't have much to do. So, I just recently had a son, and
Oh,
he was just sitting in my arms playing with the controller while I'm playing. And one day I was playing online, and one of my friends said, "Hey, you should pull out your phone and record our clips and put them on YouTube." And I was like, I mean, I really don't want to do that. I mean, but I was like, I ain't really doing nothing. You know what I mean? My son, I put him to bed. Okay, why not? So I pull out my phone, start recording our clips. And I remember the first time, like one of my very first videos had hit like almost 100,000 views.
wow.
And ever since then, it's just been a slow upgrade and build up to getting better equipment, making more content, becoming a streamer over the years. Like it's basically been an evolution, like small steps to like the big idea of I could actually do this. I could actually make a living off of gaming. But the funniest thing for me is gaming is still my hobby. Like literally after this interview, I'm gonna hop on Apex Legends. You know what I mean? Because the battle pass is about to end, new season's about to start. So I gotta get my stick skills back up for the new season beginning. So like gaming is still a hobby for me. You know what I mean? Some people they turn it into a job and start getting stressed out about things.
Yeah.
That's why I'm able to pivot from game to game to game to game, because I could play anything and be pretty good at it.
So let me ask you this though. So, we go into YouTube and we talked about this briefly before the show started. Again, for
Mhm.
people that are just starting to listen in, this is iPod King Carter here. And definitely look him up on YouTube as far as he's one of the top gamers on there. We'll just say that. On your first video, 100,000 views, how the heck did you do that? And how do you succeed on YouTube when a lot of people fail? I know we talked about news, but people in general, whether it's gaming, news, or anything, some people hit it big and some people fail and they still have good material even though they're failing.
I look at it like this. I look at it as in if you have 2 views on a video, that means that you're doing something and you're starting somewhere. So I think what the new age has done to us is everything seemed like it's a big numbers game. It's like if you don't have the numbers, then your content isn't being given to everybody that it should, or you're failing, or you're not doing what you're supposed. Like if you're pushing yourself to put out content on a day to day, then you're doing what you need to do. what tends to happen is I think everybody looks for the instant gratification, and they say, okay, I made a fire video. This video needs to hit 1 million views today, and they don't realize it takes a lot to hit 1 million views. First off, the content has to be something that has to go viral, funny enough to become a meme, good enough to go on TikTok as a replay value so that people get drawn to said video. So if you're making a video that's like that, yeah, you're probably going to hit 1 million views, as well as being in a conglomerate of other creators. Like, let's just, I'm gonna throw out a name. I'm not sure if you ever heard of them, but a group named AMP. Some of the homies, they have another group. Some other homies of mine named Two Hype. I got another group of homies. It's just so many people are clicked up, and they feed off each other to keep building up those blocks. But when you're a single creator, you kind of stay to yourself, a hermit, you know what I mean? You don't really look for outside help. You go with what you know to the content that you can make, and go from those views. Like, if I say it like this, if you look to go on YouTube and turn that into a career as like your number one like post that you jot down on your whiteboard, you're not thinking big. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going on YouTube and saying, "Hey, I really like the way people make skits. I want to try making skits one day." That's how you have to approach it. You have to approach it as in a hobby and have fun with it, because the term fail or failing, I feel like it hurts way too many creators, because if you make 30 videos, you may not get 30,000 views. You may not get 3,000 views. You know what I mean? But don't stop after 30 videos and 30 plus hours of progress, you know what I mean, that you've made, critiquing yourself, looking at the content, seeing what you could do better from other people's content, looking at ideas and concepts to make your content better. Don't give up, because it's not failing. You're still growing. There's literally no peak for this. This is all new, you know what I mean? It's only been in mainstream media for the last what, 5 to 7 years? You know
Right.
what I mean? And YouTube has been around for what, maybe 15, almost 15, almost 20 years, maybe. I
Yeah,
don't even think it's
probably.
been out that long.
Yeah, it might be less, even less than
Might
that.
be lit,
Yeah.
because I started on YouTube in 2010, and that was like the early stages for gaming. So
Right.
people was like making like 9-second videos, 45-second videos, a minute and a half videos on YouTube, and they had no structure, no concept whatsoever. So like YouTube hasn't even been out that long, you know what I mean? So we can't look at this as, oh, if you come in and you're not doing well off the start, off the jump, that
Mhm.
you're failing. No, you just have to say to yourself, got to keep making content, got to keep reaching out to people to make content with, you know what I mean, to broaden my audience, to reach out to another person's audience. And maybe 3 years from now, let's say for instance, this interview goes big, right? And it's like one of the biggest things on your channel. And then you reach out and say, hey, remember the podcast that we did from here? My channel just hit 500,000 subscribers, and I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity
Right.
to interview. That's how everything goes. Like, I swear, it's a big circle, man. Like
Mhm.
for instance, I am signed with Facebook Gaming, right?
Mhm.
And I've been streaming on Facebook Gaming since day one, since it was announced, since it was
Wow.
launched, everything, right? And that deal came from a relationship that I had with someone that used to work for 2K Sports, because they
Oh,
actually ended up becoming head of gaming over at Facebook Gaming. So it was like, yo, wow, the head of gaming at Facebook used to be somebody that I knew at 2K Sports. We kept tight, kept the relationship going, and they called my phone and said, "Hey, we got a dope opportunity coming up. How do you feel about it? Hey, you know what I mean? We would love to have you over here." And of course, me, I'm a relationship guy.
mhm.
I stand by my relationship, so I say, you know what? Let's try it out. First year, loved it. Second year, loved it. Third year, I'm still here. You know what I mean? So like, it's one of those things where you have to say, do you want to have longevity, or do you just want to have that instant you know what I mean, gratification, success, and then not knowing what to do with everything as a whole once it all falls in your lap. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because once we get to talking about success on YouTube, we start talking about CPAs, we start talking about tax professionals, we start talking about EINs, we start talking about LLCs. Like, you know what I mean? I could talk about that all day because that's what I do on a day to day. So,
Right.
you know, when we're talking about like smaller creators, you're not failing. Like, I want you to like jot that down at the top of your board on your mirror when you wake up, put it on your clock, the first note on your iPhone. You are not failing because you are still growing and there is no plateau or peak for you to reach. You will literally keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Were you down in Orlando a lot? Because obviously EA Sports is down here. I know you're big into sports games. We talked about NBA 2K in general, and obviously EA Sports has a lot of dealings with a lot of these sports games that have
Yeah.
come out in the past and now coming out in the present. So you were down here quite often then?
Yeah. I was down there probably 6, 7 times in the last 2 years.
Oh wow, okay.
Well, 2 years before COVID, sorry.
Right.
So basically, NBA Live, I worked with the dev team exclusively on their games, as well as I sat in on a couple Madden,
Mhm.
I guess testing days and stuff like that. And I spent a little bit of time in Vancouver as well, helping out with UFC. So yeah, I'm tapped in
Now,
for
do you go
sure.
to the tournaments like they had those Madden tournaments? I remember they had one in Jacksonville, I think. Actually, somebody
Yeah,
got
yeah,
hurt
somebody
there or
got
shot.
yeah, a couple people got shot. I'm glad that whatchamacallit did heal from that as well. But yeah, so basically the way that the Madden tournaments are set up, I do attend some tournaments, ones that
Mhm.
I do choose to travel for. Sometimes my schedule is very hectic. Like right now, you know, I'm fitting in this pod and I have like a bunch of hours that I need to put in on like some stream, but as well as I gotta meet with Sony or Columbia, you know what I mean, just for like business meetings. So it's like, you know, my schedule just never stops, you know what I mean? So fitting in like little stuff like I recently went to DreamCon. I'm not sure if you know what that is, but it's anime and gaming. And it was a dope experience. It was like a 3-day trip. And the whole entire time I was down there networking, talking to other gamers, talking to people that love anime like me, and we were just vibing. You know what I mean? It was really cool.
So we'll end with this because I know you got to roll soon. I don't want to take up too much of your time, regardless. So we'll end with that. Let's end with this and say, can you give advice to people that are listening, whether they're in gaming or they're just starting out in game? Well, actually, I'll frame it this way.
Okay.
Can you give advice to people listening, whether they're in gaming, whether they just want to build a YouTube channel, whether they're, just millennials in general that are looking for an outlet? Like you said, gaming was your outlet when you were younger. So
Mhm.
tell the viewers, how, give them advice, I guess, to end the interview about, how to really grow as a gamer in general, and how that was an outlet for you in general.
I would definitely say, first word of advice, grow with your friends, whether they be in real life friends or friends that you develop over the test of time of gaming. Somebody like me, when I got into gaming with people that were spread out all across the states. You know, somebody from St. Louis was the person who pushed me to become a YouTuber. I will never forget his name. His name was Rez. He pushed me to become a YouTuber. And after becoming a YouTuber, I pushed myself to make acquaintances, associates, friends. And I have friends that I've known for 10 years now. We meet up, we go on trips together, IRL. Like this is real. Like you're not alone in this. You know what I mean? So many people have those thought processes where it's like, okay, if I get into it, okay, oh, I'm really into it. Okay, well, how do I meet people that's into it? Just put yourself out there, grab a microphone, get on the headset one day and say, hey, I really like the way that you played this game. Want to know if you want to run again. And that's how relationships were born. You know what I mean? Like it was so crazy. Like I tried to have like some of my homies come to my wedding, but everybody was booked up for that because my wedding was like so impromptu, you know what I mean? So like I couldn't get everybody to get flown out and stuff like that. But you know what I mean? Everybody sent me gifts and everything like that, housewarming gifts, like is real, you know what I mean? So like gaining friends, gaining fame, all of that coincides with you just being open to the possibility of it. You know what I mean? If you're open to the possibility of becoming famous or becoming even noticeable when you go to McDonald's or, you know what I mean, Target or something like that, if you're open to that, it will happen for you. Definitely. You know what I mean? Like I'm so used to it now. Like funny story. Me and my son recently went to the opening of OSNYC, which is a big gaming center, you know what I mean, for the community and stuff like that. And we had to end up staying in New York for a few extra hours until our train came. And I had to ask a police officer where was the nearest bathroom because like everything is taped off at Penn Station after a certain amount of hours, right? And this cop is just like looking at me crazy. I'm like, yo, I hope I didn't do anything. He was like, yo, your iPod. I was like, oh, I was like, yeah, what's going on, man? So, we had a little, conversation, discussion, all that. Then I had to remind him, like, my son really needs to go to the bathroom. But like, you just never know who might know you. So just put good energy out into the world. All that toxicity, that trolling, that rage for attention is never a good look because you can burn bridges along the way because, those people out there that say, the term you used earlier, failing and stuff like that. Some people put themselves in a position where it's not failing. You've just burnt bridges and no one is willing to help you along the way. So definitely don't be one of those people where I have a couple people might come to my comments or I might comment on somebody else's video and they'll be like, hey, shut up, old head. It's like, okay, it's funny. It's, you know what I mean? It's banter, but you're not really going to get a response out of me opposed to somebody that says, hey, I've been watching your videos for all these years. I didn't know that you watch this type of content too, because that's a conversation I'm willing to talk about. Like, yeah, I watch this YouTuber all the time. You know what I mean? We might talk about like past videos, but if you just like throw a shot at me and you're going like this the whole time, you're never going to reel me in. Like that doesn't work for creators at all, as well as you burn bridges with friends too, because if you troll a little bit too much or you rage and get toxic a little bit too much, they'll just block you. You'll never hear from them again. And they might say like they might be really good at a game, like, to the point where they might like go to professional like games and stuff. You might pop up there as a fan and their gamer tag might pop up on your screen. You like, yo, I know that gamer tag from somewhere. And be like, oh, that's the person I was toxic to. And now look at him. He's a pro gamer. And I didn't follow through with what I was supposed to do. So like you have to look inward and make sure you just put out good energy all the time. It's that simple.
I appreciate you coming on and talking about this. It means a lot to me, and hopefully the listeners will get that advice and use it to their own advantages. So again, for people that were listening, it's Ipodkingcarter. I hope you guys look him up on YouTube, and I appreciate the time.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Maybe one of these days we'll get to talk about keto.
Oh yeah, we didn't even get into that. Sorry about that.